With that, I think we're kind of ready to get underway, so I'll introduce Mark Lohrding. I call him from Protection, Kansas, but his address is Coldwater, Kansas. The ranch is there 11 miles straight north of my house, so he has a Coldwater address. But I've known Mark since 2006. I came home to work for the summer for the co-op. There was no rain, no wheat crop. I found out when I got home that I did not have a job. I was supposed to start on Monday. So my dad saw him at the barber shop on Friday night, and I started Saturday morning, got turned loose on the baler. I had never baled in my life. Day one, I'm baling at Mark's, and little did I know the rest of that summer I would live on the swap-through baler because we swapped and baled CRP. So I worked for Mark for a couple summers, couple Christmas breaks, spring breaks, and then I had the opportunity to come home and work for Mark full-time in 2010. I had been working for a veterinarian in Manhattan. Came back and worked for him for 4 years, so I've kind of seen a little bit of everything. We saw drought to flood. 2006, we sent all the cows to Illinois and bought some back in 2007. So he's done a lot of different things, a lot of experiences, and then he even threw in a wildfire. The Starbuck wildfire went across most of him. We'll talk about that. I got to help him with a little bit on the extension side. So really practical guy. He shares. He doesn't toot his own horn enough. Really neat operation. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mark.
Well, thank you, Aaron. Like you said, Aaron used to work for me, so we've had to relearn stuff because when he and I first started out, the conversations were pretty one-sided. And now we're kind of peers, and it's a cool thing. It's nice to be in Greensburg. I married a Greensburg girl 32 years ago, and she's still with me, and that's a true blessing. I taught school up here for 7 years. Met a lot of people, a lot of great kids, a lot of great parents. I did have a parent or two that reminded me that the best coaching job is at an orphanage, and I didn't know how that was going to prepare me for later on, but I did. As I went through this ranching business, I did one time get to meet a young lady who was an NRCS agent in our part of the world, and she kind of reminded me of that parent, and I kind of reminded her of that parent, and so we still got through it. But I'm not going to give NRCS a hard time. I think they do a great job, but I won't be near as hard on them as I'm going to be on myself. So Lohrding 3-Car Ranch, we got some people here. One thing about it, when you have a local speaker, they bring family, so it helps the crowd. So my folks are here on the front row, Arlie and Patricia, put this whole thing together. My oldest boy's son, Cole, is back full-time, and his family was here for a while. My middle son, Cade, is in the back corner there. He actually teaches school up here now. If you want to know how work goes on the ranch when you quit farming and you don't have any air conditioning, Cade is now working on his master's degree in education. So, and our youngest workforce back there is Caden. His parents were a little concerned about him not being very smart, so they sent him to work for us. I'm going to tell you he can do math, because I said you can have the day off, or I'll keep you on the clock and you can listen to me speak. And so he's got his pillow back there, but he's on the clock. So, anyway, where we're at, we are in the northwest corner of Comanche County. So 30 miles southwest of here is where our headquarters is at. We're 22-inch rainfall is what we consider to be normal. So what we're supposed to get is 2 in April, and then 4, 4, and 4 in May, June, and July, and then 2 in August. And the place looks really great right now, but what's cool is we're just a tick over what normal is supposed to be. So I don't know, we went through a lot of drought. In fact, I'm a believer of cycles. I really do think we have came out of a 30-year drought for my area. I think we're going into a 30-year, I don't know if it's a 30-year near normal. I don't know if it's a 30-year a little dry or a little wet, but I think that we went out of a 30-year drought. Now that does not mean we're not going to have some drought years. I do not mean that. But I do think that things have changed. So that being said, I was asked today if I would speak on our grazing basics. So here's basically how we do business. This is the whole way we want to think. So we want to grow as much forage as possible, and hopefully most of it is usable. Okay? We want to convert that forage with animals to protein. So for us, that would be beef. We want to be able to recharge the system, and we're low-cost producers, so we want to recharge it with very minimal inputs. Okay? The other thing is, it needs to be profitable. I don't care how much grass you grow or how many cows you run. If you're not making money, please change your system. Okay? Second to last thing, we want to manage our way through drought, fire, flood, tornadoes. Because if you live out here long enough, you're going to experience all of those. So make sure that your system is dynamic so that you can address those things. The other thing, if the cows are doing better, if the soil's better, if the grass is better, then your wildlife should be better. Whether you just like to look at them or if you want to take some financial gain off of that, that is a part of what we do. So what I'm going to start out, and I'm on a board. I was at a board meeting this week, and they talked about the weakness in the type of soil health or the regenerative ag movement. And they said the weakness is we need to make sure that we can tell people how to make money. We need to talk the financials as much or even more than we talk everything else. And so every morning when I get up, I scroll through my emails. And I get stuff from beef and drovers and whatever, and I go out and I look at it. And so there was 2 extension professors from Nebraska. And they were, the reason I read the article, it said, be careful when your cows get too big. And so I tend to agree with that, so I looked at it. The whole gist of the article was on how many cows you could run while keeping your grass okay in Nebraska. Now, they said if you had 1,200-pound cows with calves, that your grass rotation should be for about 5 months. They said if you have 8 paddocks, they were basically a take half, leave half. They said graze a quarter, smash down a quarter, and leave half. They said it'll take 23 acres for each cow to do that. That's including the bulls and the whole thing. They said if your cows weigh 1,400 pounds, then it's going to take 27. Now, we're selling $2,100 5 weights, we're selling $2,000 4 weights. I think that can work. I don't know if it'll work if what happened in the last cattle cycle. So when we were in 14, we were up here selling $1,700 grass cattle, and 6 months later they were worth $800. I hope this cattle cycle lasts longer. But I do think we always have to pay attention, is what we're doing working because prices are high, or is it working because it's sustainable? So, I forgot to, I also read a deal on Cowfax. It said since 2000, cow size has increased 142 pounds. Weaning weight has increased 5 pounds. You're not getting a whole lot of bang for your buck with the bigger calves. So, something to think about as you're moving forward. So, a little bit about us. Here's how our starting rate goes. It goes kind of like this. So, we got most of the cows home in March. We turn out bulls to calve on the first day of March, the 20th day of March, first day of spring. We use low birth weight bulls, so we usually start getting calves anytime around the 1st of March. Okay? So most of the cows are home. We're going to calve, we're going to brand, and then we have some satellite pastures. So a lot of times we might stock them with pairs. So we're going to destock a little in the middle of May. And then that group of cattle that we have is going to go all the way through, stay on the ranch, through preg check, through weaning, through everything until we either go to winter grass or we go to stocks. So in that fluctuation, the cows that stayed on the ranch from March 1 to December 1, this year we had 500 pair, okay? We had them in 3 groups for a while because we had some of them on Chris's mom's CRP. We combined them into 2 groups. So basically we got 2 groups of 250 pairs. So we were running them on 71, 74 is the acres. We have 72 paddocks that we will go through. And that ends up at 14.3 acres per pair. But it's actually better than that because of the fluctuation. Now, from there, we still have winter. We have 3 months of winter. So we did defer 1,800 acres of grass to just grow for winter grass and for weaning. And we also know a guy back there at the cap that's got a bunch of farm ground, Lance, that we sometimes send cows to in the wintertime. So that's the comparison of a conventional system to what we're trying to do. So a little bit about our cows. Aaron suggested I say nothing about cows because he said he knows people that like their cows better than their spouse. So I'm not going to criticize anybody's cows. I'm just going to talk in generalities. Our cows are smaller. They honest to goodness weigh 1,000 pounds. When we take them to the sale and sell them, that's what they weigh. They do not milk heavily at all. We want that milk to have a lot of fat in it so that the calf can thrive and survive. We're not excited about big heavy weaning weights or anything else. To tell you how we have changed. The last year that we used hybrid vigor, and I can't remember how old that was yet, we had limousine bulls, we had black cows, and we weaned 700-pound calves. And we threw that all away and went something else. So we are in a constant series of change here, and the number one thing that we have tried to do through the years is we've tried to reduce our inputs and also reduce the amount of forage that we produce. Basically our grazing hub. So why did we have 72 paddocks when I showed what our allotment was? So our basic theory is if you take fairly large groups of cattle and you put them in a smaller area, then that is going to get grazed more evenly and more quickly. And while they're in that paddock, the rest of your ranch is at rest. And so it is at recovery. Now, paddock size varies tremendously. We have a 10-acre paddock, and right now, I don't know if the bus goes by it on the way home, but our 2- and 3-year-olds are out in a pasture that we lease. It's 500 acres. So we have a lot of variation in the size of the paddock. Some of that has to do with who your landlord is and what they want, which is fine. But anyway, going to get in trouble here. Take half, leave half. Not a proponent of it. I really think it only, as I said up there, only works with a mower or a grad student. We have done some cool things. I hope most of you get to come to the ranch. It was Cole's idea. We have one end of the east side of the ranch. We don't feel like we utilize it well enough. And he said, we got a lot of big grass over there. We need to calve over there. So we calved over there. We had a group of 260 cows. So this is March. So the paddock we're in does not have a lot of cool seasons. So we are going to supplement. So I'm in the low-cost club. I'm not in the no-cost club. So what we did, Dad, Cole, and I each had a pickup. We each had 2 bales of alfalfa. And 2 days a week, we would go over there and we would unroll that alfalfa. Now, anybody that's been around bales before, you know there's a lot of variety in bales. You got the kind that you cut the net wrap and it explodes. You got the kind that it's too wet and you can unroll it forever and it won't work out good. You got the kind that was really good hay and it'll only go from here to the door until it's all enrolled. And then once in a while you get the kind of hay that was really good, but it wasn't a lot of it, and you can unroll it forever. And that's what we had. And so we would unroll these 6 bales. Those 260 cows had plenty of room to go around, eat that, and they basically ate the grass that was below it into the ground. Okay? we go on, because this is March. We're going around there. In fact, when you come to the ranch, you're going to see some things that we have had, that have already had 150 days of rest, and you're going to see some things that we were on yesterday. So there's a lot of variety in how that looks. Nicole and I were back over there the other day, and we thought, I wonder what this looks like. So we went over there because Nature Conservatory wanted to measure some grass on us, and I said something to them about it too. Like, is it bad if we eat it really far down in the winter, or is that okay, or what do you thought? And we said, well, we need to measure it. So we went back over there, and what is really cool, and this is not very good ground, but you can stand out there and look, and you can see exactly where we unrolled the hay. And at that place, the grass is significantly taller, it is significantly greener, it is already maturing, so it's shooting a seed head. So something about that is good, all right? And I have to pay attention to something like that. So we basically took 90%, and yet it's growing back more than right next to it that had not very much taken at all. So I got some ideas on why that is in a little bit. I'm going to talk about it. But basically, the big thing is we want to take a lot, get off, and rest most of it while we can. It does say we choose quantity over quality because we run cows year round. You know, we're not a stocker situation where we want to try to make sure they have lush stuff all the time. We feel like we need cows that convert any kind of forage and survive versus having cows that we have to have good forage all the time. So here's where we start. So this is a picture of the ranch, August 13th, 1981. Now I can tell you, August 13th of 1981, that guy right there in the blue cap, Chris Jarnigan, he and I were trying to survive sophomore 2-a-day football camp at that time. I guarantee you that's what we were trying to do when this picture was taken. So whatever happens today, I bet it'll be easier than that. So here's the ranch. Back then, we still farmed. So this is all stuff that's been converted to grass. This right here is what we used to call the Sand Creek, because if mom and dad wanted to take the kids on a picnic, but they didn't want to worry about them drowning, we just went to the Sand Creek because there's no water in it, but there's a whole lot of sand and nothing growing there. So my granddad, Fred, who was a good operator, he had retired and he was sick with cancer. All of the management was on dad. And I guarantee you, as a sophomore in football camp, I was zero help, period. So this is where we started out. And it's funny, sometimes as a parent, you don't think the kids remember anything. And then you look back. One thing I remember Dad saying a lot is, cattle pay the bills on this place. I remember him saying a lot, even though we're farming all that crap, cattle pay the bills on this place. And he never forgot he said it. So we were working towards more livestock, less farming. Now, when we're going to go through a change on 3-bar, we like to do it in that order. No cost beats low cost, and then you get to the fact where you need to figure your return on investment. So when Dad first started trying some rotation grazing, and we had some big pastures. So like this whole thing is the west pasture, here's the north, here's the east. So big 1,000, 1,100 acre pastures. So what he did is we combined some herds. Instead of set stocking every pasture, he combined the herds. Now by this time I kind of went off to college, so my little brother Brian had a motorcycle and we had a dog named Batman, and that's how they moved them cows. And it really worked pretty good. We saw some improvement, but not a lot, and we saw a lot of areas where we needed some help. One of the things you need help on is water. Okay? For most cases, other than your own mind, water is the limiting factor. But I do think it's number 2. It's not number 1. So, at that time, I told NRCS I was going to applaud them and jump up and down. At that time, there was a guy named Lauren Graff that was our NRCS agent in Comanche County. He and Dad were kind of Dad was a founding member. Lauren helped put together the Comanche pool that still operates today. He knew what we were wanting to do. So not only did Lauren help us get the money to put 3 water lines in and have fence supplies, he gave us a blueprint. Because if you've never built a paddock before, and they said, here's some money, go build paddocks on 7,000 acres, it's a little overwhelming. So he would sit in his office, and he would look at soil type, and he would look at topography, and he would draw where he thought a paddock ought to go. Then he would come out to the ranch and look and see if it makes sense. And then a guy named Greg Hill came and helped me, and we had a ton pickup with a hydrobed that had auger on it. We set wood posts on the ends, and we bought fiberglass fence posts, and we liked the cable, and we started fencing. And so we went from the previous picture to something like that over there, which I think had 42 paddocks. So now we got water, and we got paddocks. Well, the next thing is management, and here's where we screwed up, and it was all me. So I went to a wild meeting like this, and I'd heard some expert say, the number one thing you got to worry about is make sure that a cow cannot bite a plant within 3 days of grazing it the first time. Now, I don't know why that stuck in my mind, but it was like, cows cannot be anywhere more than 3 days. They're going to hurt. So we got all these paddocks, and you'd think that what we would do is we combine a bunch of herds, and we make a long trip around the ranch. But I'm involved. Well, I like these cows, and I think we ought to use those bulls on them, and those cows need those bulls. So all we did is we set stock every pasture with rotation. But we rotated so fast, like the north pasture, we had 8 paddocks. So 24 days, we're back around. Now, I honestly do not believe, for the most part, that after 3 days, a plant can be bitten again and hurt. But after 24 days, it's big enough, it can be bitten and hurt. So all I had done is intensively managed overgrazing. But the good thing was, I'm now married. And because I'm married, I can say, I'm sorry I was wrong. And so we didn't keep doing this, we changed. And so what we started doing is throwing more acres together with larger groups of cattle. Now, there is no doubt we have ran as many as 600 pairs together, and we have some satellite deals where we only run, I think we got one deal this year, we're running 16 pairs. There's a lot of variation. 250 is really nice. 600 is great for strictly the soil, but you are going to have more health issues than if you run a little bit smaller. I'm not one of these guys that's going to stand up here and say, if you'll just do everything right for the soil, everything else will work, you won't have any problems. Because I don't believe it. So, going forward, sometimes that we learned a lot of stuff. So, Aaron mentioned 2006 when he came to work for me. So that summer, we greened up in August. We had no rain. It was kind of cool. There was a guy that was supposed to be here, Kurt Dale. He and I went to a grazing school in Lahana, Colorado. By the way, I always encourage you, if you're going to go to a grazing school, go to a place that's worse off than you are. I mean, really. Because if something works in Lahana, it's got to work here. I mean, there's no doubt. And so we went there. We heard Ian Mitchell-Hines, a guy from South Africa. Unbelievable what we learned. It was great. I went home, told Cindy I got the blueprint to run 1,000 cows, and then we started weaning calves that were only 30 days old because it hadn't rained yet. So we destocked, going through all this, but this wasn't the hard part. Dad over there decided that his cancer was really bad and he was trying to die on us. So That's why I had Aaron and another guy helping me, and Dad was in the hospital. Now, through it all, we destocked. We sold cows, we moved cows. We actually sent some to Illinois on a lease. Come around, Dad lives, very thankful for that. And 2007 comes, and boom, it's a wet year. So a lot of the time through this whole experience of 30 years of doing this crap, you really do not know if what you're doing is really right, because you do not have enough rainfall to let you know. I mean, you really don't. Well, 2007, we destocked, so we basically got one big herd of cows, and we're going around, and I still remember where we're going to be at tonight. I still remember going into that paddock and thinking, good grief, I've never seen grass like this in my life. And it was great, because we needed that grass in 2007, because here comes 10, 11, and 12. Most people remember that. But it had given us enough encouragement to see what can happen when it rains. A recent event was Starbucks fire. So first of all, I'm going through this and showing you this. Oh, nobody needs to feel sorry for me about any fires. See this guy in the front row right here? His name's Adam. When he went through the fire, he lost all his livestock too. That didn't happen to us. We didn't lose any livestock. Okay? So, the tough hat goes off to you. Appreciate what you walked through. But for us, so this is our Clark County satellite. So, first day, everything hurt but 1/4. Okay? Second day, we got a little more time. We're trying to get ready. So the fire came from the west and went east. So here's my house. What we did is, and you know, I told you it helps to have a system that will help you with fire, with flood, with drought. I'm not saying that the paddocks save the cattle on our ranch. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying because we had a paddock system, it helped maneuver them. That's all I'm saying. So what we did as the fire was coming, after the herd, we dumped in a little alfalfa field right there. And I got it, and I had that, damn it, I got into it. So I told you I had a lot of one-way conversations with Aaron, who was working for me. Well, on that morning, I actually called Aaron, and I said, Aaron, I got a fire coming, but I'm not sure it's going to get here. I got some alfalfa that I'm pretty sure if I dump my cows on, they'll just die anyway below you. So should I do that? Or should I wait? Or what should I do? And Aaron told me, well, first of all, after he got off the ground, that I asked him something instead of told him something. He said, you get to do what you want to do, but you told me not to wait till the last minute. And I said, well, crap, I guess I got to take my own advice. So we dumped cows in there, and then up here by that irrigation system, I got my hired man up there with the rest of the cows, and he's got a pair of wire blockers. And I said, if I call, you cut the fence, and you go honk the horn, and you lead them over there to Dennis McKinney's alfalfa. Sounds like a good plan. But I never called Dennis. So, when the dust cleared, I got on the phone, and I said, hey, Dennis, my cows are out on your alfalfa, and it's only because we cut the fence and put them there. And you know what a nice guy is? He said, and this is exactly what I hope I said exactly. He said, I'm so glad that you did that without commenting. You know? I'm so glad you thought I'm a good enough guy that you wouldn't need me to ask to do that. I mean, what a good day. You know, we live in a good place. You know, Dennis back there, he's such a nice guy. Sometimes I forget. You know, I forget he's a Democrat sometimes. He is such a great guy. So, but anyway, the whole gist of this. So, how did paddocks help us manage our way through it? So we've got everything south of the road. We got stretches up there, and we've got some satellites that haven't burned. We decided we were going to fence off the burn and not put any cattle on there until June the 1st. So we sold some cows, we calve down for a certain length, we give a certain time to calve out, and then you're gone. If you don't have a calf sucking on you, you're out of here. We put them all in a big group, and we said, we're gonna go through each paddock about 2 days. I'm gonna go around the range. When we got to the end of that, we weaned the calves, and we started selling calves, okay? In the fall, it starts to rain. Now, I'm not going to tell you, because I know I wasn't. I'm not smart enough to tell you at the time that I knew that it was a good idea to graze on grass like that. That everything's gonna tie together with what I think happened with the bales that we unrolled. So, hot fire, no residue. So we got grass up there like this, green and tender. So when we move into a paddock, those cows, to graze it, are going to be close to the ground, right? So not only are they going to poop and pee right on that soil, but we also got tears, we got saliva, we got snot, we have all kinds of biology. And I know this sounds crazy, but I get paid to do this today, so I'm going to say it anyway. But I think that those cows coming in there after the burn, and that biology helped those plants survive that better. Is what I think. Now, again, I'm married. I can be wrong. But the long story through this, it starts raining that fall after we'd sold stuff. We go through, we have a mild winter, and it starts raining in the spring. And by June, I'm buying cows back. So we had fire, we had drought, and in the span of 14 months, we're stocked back like we were before the fire. I don't think we could have done that without the smaller paddocks and our grazing system. That's my opinion. So, you guys with ball caps, thanks for staying with me for a while. We used to farm about 800 acres. We went and heard Gail Fuller in 2014 because what we had done is we had anything that would raise alfalfa, we plant alfalfa. Anything else, we just graze out wheat. We got tired of the combine, but this is what we wanted to graze our cattle for our crop. So, first thing we planted was some oats and peas, but we got excited because he talked about ways other than graze out wheat that we could work and run cattle on. So what we ended up doing is we had a system where we planted 3 crops over 2 years. We would actually get 4 crops, and we would graze 3 of them. So how it worked was we would start, like in a month or so, with a rye triticale mix. Now, I know this is a progressive group in here, but I know that some of you, just seeing the word rye up there, I can feel the darts already aimed at me. I will say, in my humble opinion, $4.50 wheat is a lot bigger problem than rye. That's just my opinion, but you guys can think about whatever you want. We plant that mix, we're going to graze that out as soon as we get graze out done. We do 1 chemical kill, and we plant a warm season mix behind it. We do not graze that warm season mix in the summer. We let it get big, tall, rank, and make a seed head. Okay? Then we're going to come in there after frost, and I think up there I got cows, but I think the first time we did this, we actually used our weaned calves on that. And we're going to graze through that. As we get done, right behind it, we're going to have a cool season mix in our grill. I'm not a big fan of oats. We planted it before because you don't get much production out of it in my world. So a bigger fan of spring triticale and some stuff. So if you've got cattle someplace coming off graze out in May, then usually your oats are ready about that time. It's not a long season, but you do get some grazing, and then as you're coming off, you get your bonus crop. And what your bonus crop is, because your warm seasons got big, tall, and rank and made seed heads, that seed scattered all over your field. And so I'm going to say another one that's almost as bad as rye. I'm going to say volunteer comes up. Now that volunteer might be hard to graze because of nitrates and prussics and things like that. But what it just did is it planted you a cover crop without you having to plant. We will leave it alone. If it's got very many weeds on it, just dry faster when you go by it. Don't let it bother you so much. And then you get to the fall, spray it, and start over. Now, we did that at least 2 cycles through all of our farm ground. Now, we didn't start, we were staggered, okay? Cost of that, when we were doing it, we figured it was about 150. I'm fudging, I'm saying it's about $200 an acre a year, which really is about $100 an acre a crop, which is pretty hard to plant anything for that these days. For us, we used it because we owned the cattle. So back then, you could take $800 calves and make $1,200 grass cattle very cheaply. You could winter cows for around 25 to 40 cents a head a day. Okay? So it made economic sense for us greatly. But what we didn't know is that it was doing something else. So, as I said, this is working, so we're going to change. So, in 2 years ago, we quit farming. Okay? We got enough going on. We don't like the farm, and honestly, we're not that good at it. And so we leased it out to a guy. He cash rents it, we get the stocks for free, and we pay fair market value for the wheat pasture. What did I learn? We know, you said I got 5 minutes? Well, it's going to take longer than that. But anyway, so we know what this ground will produce for a cash crop. I mean, we've lived there forever. So we turn it over to this other guy. For number one, he's a lot better farmer than we've ever been. But the other thing is, the biology has changed in that crop field because there's no way that this stuff is going to produce what it's doing without a change in biology. And he's not fertilizing to be the moon. And what the cool thing is, the first year that he did this, so everybody had a really good milo crop, and then in August came, and it was hot and windy, and everybody's 100 bushel milo went down to 20. But the weird thing was, ours didn't. And ours has had stuff green and growing on it for like 10 or 12 years. No summer fallow, no rest, something green and growing. But yet, he still cut some 90 and 80 bushel milo that year, which for Comanche County, Kansas, that's pretty dang good. So, as I think about that, so when were our cows out there? They were out there in the fall. They were out there in the winter. They were out there in the spring. When were our cows out there on the bale? It was in the spring. So I think what this is all tying together, and the only reason I know this is because I heard somebody else say it, and I'm stealing it. So basically what's happening is when we got our animals out there and we're converting this stuff down, it's a little higher humidity environment, which makes it a more fungal environment. So we're creating a fungal environment that grasses like and forbs don't. And so by doing this, without knowing what the heck we were doing, we are improving the biology. He told me 5 minutes, and I got to get going here. Last one. I do believe cattle are the livestock, however you want to do it. I think they are not the problem, they are the answer. I really don't care what somebody from the city wants to tell me about methane. It's a load of crap. Methane, CH4, single bonds, it dissipates easily. I don't worry about that. We've done some stuff with grass-finished beef. We know how good it can be for you and how it tastes really good. And believe it or not, people are starting to pay attention to what they eat again. And you know, the last people that pay attention to what they eat is us. You know, all of the soccer moms in the big cities are paying attention, and we're out here just slugging away. maybe we ought to eat a little better once in a while too. Last thing here. So my grandma and grandpa, when they worked on the ranch, going to be a weenie now. So they always thought it's God's ranch, we manage it. That's what my folks think. That's what we think. And if the next generation doesn't think that, who gives a crap if you grow a lot of grass? Because you still got to keep the main thing the main thing.